You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. I think I'm going to start this one out with a big doozy right now. Are you ready?
Go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Man, when I hear that, Marcus, what happens?
Fired up.
I get fired up.
The patriotic fired up.
Oh,
which is, that's a big one right there.
It's deep, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about what it was like back in the day when you were rolling around all jocked up with your kit on, with your Texas flag on your helmet, with your American flag on your shoulder. Man, it's the reason why we do what we do, right?
Sure.
It's the reason why we get so fired up, never to quit in life there, Wizard, because of that pride in what our country represents, because of that pride in how awesome America is.
Yeah.
That gets me going, dude. It makes me never want to quit on this country. And so I think today's show on the team.
It's kind of under that guidance that produces the man we're going to have on here today, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that, when you let that get into your heart, that idealism, right?
Hey, if you're looking for something to climb into that'll guide you,
boom. That's all I got to say right there.
I've never seen anybody go the wrong way on that.
There have been people who've gone down negative paths of political influence and power. We see that.
You just totally missed what I was trying to say.
Well, help me understand.
Yeah, somebody who steps on the path of goodness, godness, and country and faith and stuff like that, man, it's hard. If somebody follows that like our next guest does, they don't really get twisted out to where you do something where it affects people in a negative way.
And that's a great point, man. If you can lock that into your heart. A lot
of people can't lock all of that in.
That's what I'm saying, and that was
what I'm saying. People who have locked most of that in, like he has, I've never seen anybody go down the bad path with that.
Well, hopefully our listeners are hearing you,
Yep.
And they're hearing you loud and clear. Because the reason
I never really thought about it like that till
just now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that's profound. And our listeners, they're hearing that, and they're going, you know what? Oh my gosh, I'm searching for that never quit mindset. I'm searching. That's why you're back listening to the show. And if you're a first-time listener, you're here for a reason too. You're here to have that fire in your gut ignited, to find that idealism, to find that purpose in your life. And that's our mission. That's why Marcus and I...
Or this is the only thing you get to play on your download. Either way, we got you. I just always try to look at it from my perspective. You know what I mean? The whole time you were saying that, I was in my head. I was like, no. I'm talking to the dude who accidentally got on this. You know what I mean? The Joker who accidentally got on this and was like, what the Christ, what is this? It's the only right?
The dude
if you're that guy, me and you are going to get along famously. That you need to stick around because I'm that guy. I accidentally, just because of whatever random purpose on life, get into these great situations and hear these great stories and experience life in a great way. A lot of times, I mean, you call it whatever you want, by accident, by chance, by faith, by guidance, by sheer determination, however you roll, right? Because everybody's different. And
everybody's different.
I use all of those. I roll on all those depending on the day and what we're doing. I've divided myself up like that. Man, these psychiatrists are going to have a field day with me one day.
I think you'd break them, brother. I think you'd break them. Well, listen, welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast.
Multiple personalities is a benefit to me.
Multiple attitudes.
Hey, call it whatever. That's semantics.
Well, welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast. If you, we're so stoked to have you. I'm David Rutherford here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell. If you want to know more about why we're doing this, what we're doing, the reason is because it's our mission to ignite that fire in your gut so you too can go out and discover all the things that we're sharing with you so you can have your great Never Quit story. You know, our motto here at Team Never Quit podcast is great stories ignite legends. And we're going to have, in our opinion, one of those on here today, and because he stood up for what he believes in, he stood up for what he cares about, which is America, and that's a beautiful thing. So, and hopefully you'll feel some of that. I mean, I know you're gonna feel.
When someone that's their passion, that's the love that drives them as their country
Purpose.
You know exactly who that is when you talk about them, right?
They shine in my mind. All right, so the way this show works, if you've never had it, and by the way, if you want to learn also more, go to teamneverquit.com/podcast so you can see who we are, what we do. Check out we got a great store with a bunch of cool merchandise, and get yourself a Team Never Quit podcast coffee mug or t-shirt, right? Or check out if you work for an organization or you have a company that's really fired up, to bring in some Never Quit mentality. Check out the Team Never Quit Speakers Bureau, which you'll dig. If you got a gun, check out Team Never Quit Ammunition. Great ammunition that's out there. But for us, man, go listen to the other shows and be inspired to change, to get off the couch and to go out, take the adventure, to become passionate about something that's going to change your life. Now, the way the show runs down is we introduce the show like this, and then we talk about a great person or moment in history that is tied to the person that we're bringing on. We bring that person on, we put them through the Mad Minute, they give you a heavy dose of motivation and purpose and drive, something that is going to ignite you towards your never quit mindset, and then we wrap that show. But if you want to know the nitty gritty, don't forget to go back to that website at tnqpodcast.com to see the after actions report of our guests, the how they go about every day of their life living out that never quit. So Marcus, I got a doozy for you today, the historical doozy that's relevant to our future guest. Are you ready? All right. The man is Mr. Samuel Adams himself. All right. Now, a lot of people have heard of John Adams, the president, and maybe you've seen the documentary on there on HBO about Adams. Maybe you've read the book, his biography about Adams. That did real well. But what we're talking about is Sam Adams, and we're not going to have a discussion about beer, although it's Marcus wants to know: is it an American lager or is it a Boston lager? I think it's
for Americans.
Boston lager for Americans. Right. That's what it is. But that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the man himself. Now, why is he so relevant in our world, Marcus? I'm going to tell you why. In my opinion, it's because here's a guy that stood up for what he believed in, right? And the reason why the colonials were over here was to escape that persecution of the British. And what really galvanized this guy was the unnecessary taxes that British was bestowing on the colonies at the time. And in particular, the one event that really stands out and is really kind of, I'd say, the pivot moment of America, or one of the originals, was the Boston Tea Party, right? Yep. The Dutch East India Trading Company had come in, they were selling cheaper tea, the Brits didn't dig it, so they're going to start taxing the heck out.
Yeah.
Taxation without representation.
I'm going to get mine.
I'm going to get mine, and you ain't going to get yours, because I control everything. I'm the all-powerful Oz, and I'm going to hammer the little guy.
Right.
So what's great about Sam Adams is here's this guy that really was passionate about, what he stood for, and he was able, if you're not familiar with the guy, one of the things is that once the Revolutionary War kicked off after the Tea Party, which is what he's famous for, right? Now, it's a lot of people, historians dispute what of his relevance was, but I like to believe that he was the guy that cobbled together the early resistance to fight that taxation without representation and really spawned. He was the energy, the motivation, the drive. He was the passion that inspired other people from that town of Boston to say, you know what? We're going to throw off the shackles of repression, the shackles of a foreign government or whatever, and we're going to stand up for what we believe. And then the catalyst was, these cats, is 30 to 130 dudes throwing all this tea into Boston Harbor as an act of defiance, man. And I think our guest that's getting ready to come on, he's doing that now. And he certainly faced a tremendous amount of adversity based on his beliefs in his career and his profession and his life. And I think, once he comes on, I'm just really looking forward to today's guest, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, to correlate Sam Adams to who we're bringing on here, man, is just an American, right? I mean,
true American,
right,
through and through.
Born here, raised up here, had to go through all the trials and tribulations of living in those times. I'm smart about it.
I like the way you put it, though. I think our listeners love the way you put it, brother.
We got some rednecks, man. I got a real good buddy, man, named Michael Berry. He has a radio show. Fantastic. I'm probably one of the best vocals. I listen to him to learn how to speak, too.
Right.
Not learn how to speak.
To help you with your elocution.
Right. For my public speaking. To learn how to speak, I listen to Michael Berry. He does a
That's quite an accolade, Michael, if you heard that right now.
When he goes to work and he gets on the radio and he gets fired up, he starts talking about his guests in their voice and like, well, Michael, I tell you what, I'm just scared to death. And that sounds
just like him.
Just like him.
Yeah.
Because I listen to the show every day, every morning while I'm working out, man. It lends perspective. He's highly intelligent redneck.
Well, isn't that a contradiction in terms?
Yeah, that's the beauty about us. Everyone thinks that it is, but it's not.
Right.
Most of us country folk are damn smart.
Well,
because we have to go to school.
Absolutely.
Yep. We don't drop out. We got to go.
The whole time.
Yep. Grandma's around. She'll beat that ass. Sheriff whip you if you get out of line.
There is no truancy in the country.
I know where you're at. Man, there's nobody living out here. It's a small town. You know when someone's absent.
When Billy Bob is not in school.
And when all the guys who run together are absent, we're not all sick. We may be sick together, but we're all, what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about Sam Adams, his relationship to our guest coming on.
Well, we went down one.
That's a rabbit hole, brother.
Wow.
That's a big rabbit hole.
Bottom line is living American dream, right?
Let me just read, Marcus. I got where you're going, but let me read a quote to introduce our next quote. This quote is not from him, but it's from Sam Adams. But it introduces our guest in a good way. This is a Sam Adams quote. Here it goes. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brushfires of freedom in the minds of men. Now that's profound. And the guy who's coming on right now, I'm incredibly...
Did you hear that? That was awesome.
Well, when you think about a brush fire in your brain, right? And what that means... You're going
to pay attention to that, right?
You're going to pay attention.
It's going to get your undivided attention.
When your brain is burning with desire to make sure that you're living a purposeful life, you're dialed in.
Yeah. Everything.
So, here's what we need to do. Let's get that guy on right now. Yeah. I'm so privileged to welcome Colonel Allen West to the show. All right, Marcus. I tell you what, I woke up this morning and I had this burning feeling down below. Not that kind of burning feeling, but
it was dinner last night.
It was not that kind of burning. It was that excitement that comes out of my heart that starts digging deep. It starts letting me up. My hair catches on fire, man, because I was so fired up with who we got on today. I can't even tell you. This guy is one of my favorite human beings that's out there in front of the public eye. He's one of my favorite guys out there that's standing tall for what America believes in. And the fact that we got him on this show, it's just, my heart is like, I'm going at 1,000 miles an hour now.
I know. You were talking about when we were drawing up the list and who we were going to bring on, and I said our short list. I said, well, these are the guys that I look up to. I have contact with, I've met, I know personally, and he's a real humble guy. He's going to probably self-deprecating sometimes when he says about all that, but he is somebody that I look up to, all his accomplishments and what he's done. He's no bullshit. Well, too. That's the best part about it.
That's what I love too. So I don't want to wait a second longer to bring him on. This guy's amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I want to welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, Mr. Colonel Allen West himself. Colonel, thank you for coming on air with us.
Oh, dudes, come on. This is awesome. This is great. Anytime I get a chance to be harassed by a Navy SEAL, I can't beat that.
You have no idea.
It's just beginning.
Every day, every year, everything. I've just been drawing these notes down for this one moment. every little quip, everything I've ever heard.
We're finally going to take some shots at a Colonel.
At a Colonel.
Make sure you aim good.
I know, right? Exactly.
Aim small, miss small, sir.
yeah,
Aim
right?
small, miss small.
Because you know, if we miss, it's going to come back like a hurricane.
Oh, my God. I know I'm going to get pummeled. If you can get Marcus and I in the leaning rest today, sir, it's going to be an epic day.
Right?
Oh, I got my ways.
I know. The thing about it is, the Colonels, they're just as good, if not better than we are, because they have to deal with us every day.
Every day. All right. So, sir, what we do on the show when we get people on is, the whole pretense is to get you on and share your greatest never quit story or stories in your life and how that, how you've been influenced, how you got it, how you made it through. But also before we get into that, we like to get warmed up, right? We're all about training and PT and all that. But on this show, it's all about getting your brain warmed up. We want to start pushing, stretching out that prefrontal cortex. We want to start firing those neurons, get that neuroplasticity stretched out. So what we do is we're going to start with a mad minute. And I'm sure you've given a mad minute in your life in certain different situations, but this is your different kind of mad minute, right, Marcus? I mean, this is a whole different kind of mad minute.
Right.
All right, incoming.
All right, here it comes. All right. So the first question to get the ball rolling is, what city were you born in?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Southern boy.
And you can always tell someone that is truly from Atlanta because if they say Atlanna, they're from there. If they say Atlanta, if they say Atlanta, they're from somewhere
else. Imported.
Imported.
Yeah, exactly. And for the South, you can actually tell where someone is or where they're from by that, just what he explained.
The sound. All right, go ahead, Marcus.
The one question you would ask an astronaut.
Whoa, shoot! One question I would ask the astronaut:
if no one was around, and the one question you would ask an astronaut,
why?
Yes.
That's perfect. That's great.
Like terra firma.
Why in the hell?
Especially that last cat who was up there for like a year. I mean, I just want to ask that, Colonel. That's like why, dude?
Right.
Why? All right. Next question: if you could pick any decade in the history of man to live in, what decade would it be?
Oh, that's easy. I would want to be 490 BC. I'd want to be right there with Leonidas.
Oh man, that's that's awesome right there. That's awesome.
Favorite superhero?
Batman. Dark Knight.
I love it. All right. Next question. If you had to fight one, who would you choose? Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
If I had to choose one of those?
To fight. Yep.
Probably Han Solo.
Yeah, he was a wuss, I think. I think.
Yeah.
All
right. What character in what movie would you want to play out in real life?
Oh, shoot! That's easy.
Yeah, you already named that one.
If I could have been a part of the 54th Massachusetts, if I could have, and because that movie Glory, I still cry today. So actually, it would be a toss up between that and Spartacus.
That's
cool.
It's
like he answered that question already, right?
I got to tell you, the first Civil War movie I ever saw was Cry Freedom, and I swear to God, sir, I was bawling my eyes out too. I was a young kid. And just the pride that they had every single day, it was infectious, man. It really was a beautiful movie. I dig it. That's a great answer. All right, last question for you. What's your greatest achievement in life?
Being an American.
Awesome.
I mean, the blessings of being, born here in this great country, the blessings of, having a dad who served in World War II, a mother who served 25 years civilian service to a Marine headquarters in Atlanta. I can't think of anything else. I mean, when I wake up every day and know that I am here, it's a blessing, but it is also an achievement because we have to fight to make sure that we earn that title every day.
Oh, you're a patriot.
Heck yeah. A true patriot.
Now, please, guys, let me tell you something. Do not let my wife hear this podcast, because if I didn't say marrying her or whatever, I am so freaking screwed.
Oh, don't worry. We covered down. We covered down on all that.
Most likely, chances are, with the size of people that are following you and following Marcus, there's only probably going to be about 3 million people that might hear this show. So you're done. You're done.
All right. Well, here we'll add this last question, and I like asking people this one anyways. If you could sing any song better than the artist who sings it at a halftime Super Bowl show, what song would it be?
I was saying Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb.
Oh, I love you. Are you kidding me? That just floored me. That dude.
He was ready for that.
It's almost like he knew you were going to ask him.
You know what that means? It's like he's actually seen himself doing it. I have a song like that too. Every guy does, where you've seen yourself singing it that good somewhere.
Well, so just last summer, sir, I was pacing one of my good buddies from the teams, guy named Nick Hawks, owns Paleo Treats, and it was his third year running the Leadville 100. And I paced him for about 30 in it, and the song we sang, other than our Bud's Cadence songs, was Comfortably Numb. It was weird. It was bizarre. But when you're up there in the middle of the night, it's freezing, you're out. He's been up for 20 straight hours. It just seems like the best song in the world. That blew me away.
It is.
Holy cow. Wow. Well, all right. So let's shift focus. I got to regain my center there on that. I never in my wildest dreams would have figured that. Colonel, I love you, buddy. All right. So
you got
all right. So when people come and tune into the Team Never Quit podcast, it's for one reason and one reason only, because they want to hear great stories that'll ignite them to do amazing things. And so before we get into all the other backstories and all that, if you could, sir, could you just share your greatest never quit story with us?
Well, and life is all about never quitting. I mean, you have opportunities where Marcus, answered an incredible opportunity where he didn't quit. But I think that if we go through our life, we see all of those different moments that shaped us into who we are. Having been brought up in the inner city, and you have those influences that could have taken you a different way. Instead of working hard, instead of studying and everything, you could have quit. You could have hung out with all the rest of the chuckleheads that were there, but then you would have gone down a different path. When you're in combat, when you're leading, you're leading troops. All of those points. But I will tell you that probably the moment where it was a never quit that has been a defining moment for me, and you guys know the action that I took in Iraq in 2003.
Awesome.
When I used my service 9mm to kind of persuade a guy to provide information for us, and I reported myself on that. And when you're standing there and you hear charges being read against you, when you hear someone say the United States against, versus Allen West, that's a point where you can just fold, the flag. You can, bring up the white flag and say, it's time to quit. But no. And so you pray to God and you ask him to reveal to you what this moment, what am I supposed to get out of this moment? And I'll never forget, sitting there in the Article 32 hearing in one of Saddam's, palaces there in Tikrit at the hearing, and being asked by the attorney, if this were to be done all over again, would you take the same action? And I gave a response that was just part of my core and who I am, and I think that's the never quit moment. And I didn't realize how big that response would be back here in the United States of America. But, I just said, if it's about the safety and the lives of my men, I'll go through hell with a gasoline can.
Awesome.
And so I think that without a doubt was the never quit moment for me that has, defined where I am today.
No, look, you know that we support you to the ground. I mean, you call, we haul. That's what you did, and that's the part about and we can go down this rabbit hole.
No.
It. Well, it's long and deep, but when it comes to combat, you're in a situation, especially when things start going bad, and the way you have to look at it is the American public and all the training that you put into him.
The life's work.
Right. It's like the doctor. You don't question him when you're on the table or anything like that, and especially in combat, because it's the purest form of anything. And when you got American lives in there, it's, hey, look, we're not murderers, rapists, or robbery, right? The 3 R's. We don't mess around with that. Absolutely.
Which our enemy are all doing all the time.
Right. And I mean, if you're not over there in the situation, that's the toughest part about it, man. You're judging him for something that you don't have any idea what went down. You don't know the emotions, if it was cold, if it was hot, what the smell was like, because all of that comes into it, right, Colonel? I mean, you and I have each been fortunate enough to be in situations like that where you're like, hey, I got to make a call here, and would it be the right one? No, but right now I need God to look away. I need everybody to look away, because in order for me to get through this, I'm going to have to turn into something that it goes against.
Every fiber of what you've been taught. Amen.
No, not what we are, what everybody thinks that we are.
Well,
and you had to go to that point.
Absolutely.
And you come back and be judged about it. You're like, all right, fine. You know what? I had to make a judgment call right there. You guys make one. I'm a man. I'm taking it. Let's go. And he stuck to it, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, that's the key thing. And so, was it easy to be, separated, taken away from, the men that I deployed with, almost 600 into that combat zone? It hurt to the core. But the thing is that you got to continue to fight. And, even to today, when you stand up and you use your voice and the platform that I've been so blessed to have, you just can't quit. And I recall that, when I lost the congressional election back in 2012, you had the whole world, weighing down on you. You had a Republican Party in Florida that redistricted you out of the district you represented. You had, I was the number one target against the Democrats. And so maybe some people would say, hey, you lost this congressional race, just go away. No, you never quit. If you truly believe in the oath that you took to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, you don't quit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in uniform, if you're out of uniform, it doesn't matter if you're butt freaking naked. You continue to fight.
Well, it's not a lie. It's because it's not a line to you. It's we're not talking about this. It makes it what you are. It's a part of you. It's not something that you look at and you're like, I'll say that, I'll say the pledge, or I'll do this, and you don't know what it means. Man, you know what's behind that, and then that makes everything clearer to me when you're doing what you are.
Oh, for sure. And what is amazing to me is that here you go, you're in the midst of battle, you're totally focused on supporting your men, you did what you did, then all of a sudden everything in your life shifted. And you're at that board, and now you're out of the military, you're teaching high school, then you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep serving. And then you're in that Congress, and then you get attacked again by powers that don't want you to succeed in what you believe in. How does that, do you now recognize that maybe what you really stand for, that's under attack now, Colonel?
Well, of course you do. The very fabric of this constitutional republic. And, there's a great saying that you only take flack when you're over the target. So, as it says in James chapter 1, I count it all joy.
Amen.
When, these trials and tribulations and things of this nature come before me, because then I find where my true strength really is. And I truly do know. When people call me names, look, and you get, let's see, Uncle Tom, Oreo, sellout, house N-word, white man's porch monkey. All of these things, I just have to laugh because, here we are, you and I, we've been through the crucible of combat. Now, you have these little slack-jawed, weenie chuckleheads that think that calling me a name is going to make me, back
power
down.
And fear or something.
Look, after everything that we've been through, and when people start turning it inside out and all it is red, all right, that's the beauty about going through and being raised the way we did. And I don't see it. You can't see in color. All right,
no.
It's about the man standing right to the next.
It's
When
the
you got
blood
people
that flows through your
doing
heart.
that, the way I look at them, like, hey, look, man, I'm so far past you that name calling doesn't even. We got thick skin, anyways.
Yeah.
You can make that comment because you don't have any idea what you're talking about.
It inspires me.
Yeah, little one. go back to
It does.
doing whatever.
It inspires you to never quit, because what it shows is that they are not arguing with you on principle. They're not arguing you about the stance that you're taking. They realize that they cannot win the debate, and so what they try to do is to attack you personally, or attack your character. But when you're confident in who you are, like I said, the greatest achievement for us is being Americans. The greatest achievement for us is being a part of an incredible legacy that spans back to the men who answered the call of service there at Lexington Green and Concord Bridge,
Amen.
to those men and women doing it today. And the fact that they will never quit, that's what, what you guys are talking about in your podcast is the definition of an American.
Amen.
When Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain there at Little Round Top, out of ammunition, the Alabamans keep coming, and what does he do? He orders a bayonet charge. When the Marines are surrounded at Chosin Reservoir, what do? We got the bastards, right where we want them. We'll attack in every direction. When, General McAuliffe in the 101st was surrounded at Bastogne, and the Germans asked him to surrender, he sent a one-word response back: nuts. Okay, that's who we are. We don't quit as Americans.
Colonel, you and I talked about this, and this just to bring that point up. Like, we're only as strong as those men you just described. And that little episode the other day with the guys on their knees, their hands behind their head, that's a bad deal.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is that only people in the military recognize that.
Everybody else thinks it's like, oh, that's smart.
Yeah, they gave,
smart.
we got them back.
Yeah.
They don't understand the Pandora's box that opened up.
The core of America does not like that. When we see our sailors on their knees at gunpoint from, Iranians, when we see riverine assault craft being turned over to Boston whalers, that's not who we are. And when we know that we have an administration with a Secretary of State that thanks the Iranians for taking care of our sailors, that's the most, reprehensible stench in our nostrils. Because like I said, what defines us is that we're a bunch of arrogant mutts in the United States of America. And we're just, a bunch of, junkyard dogs that will fight you to the end. And we don't surrender. We don't quit. That's why when you ask me, what point in time would I want to live in history? What Leonidas did, and those brave Spartans did, they said no retreat, no surrender.
Amen.
And when I think about never quitting, when I think about you guys, Navy SEALs, God bless you, you are a modern day Spartan warriors. Now, although I will tell you, I think you're just Army Green Beret guys who want a prettier uniform. You just want a prettier uniform.
We could swim.
Yeah, because we love berets, sir. We love
swim.
the look of the beret.
No. I just think you guys like that ice cream suit. Really,
Cracker Jacks.
Chicks dig it.
They do.
The chicks dig it.
There's nothing better than being on limo.
You guys got all these great movies, and what do we have? We got Stripes. Okay, so.
Bill Murray is the man.
All I gotta say is 100 men will test today. It all started with that.
But see, you guys got a better marketing and PR firm now.
Oh, we have Charlie Sheen.
We got
Charlie Sheen, man. He's an ultimate Navy SEAL. You guys got Stallone and John Wayne.
Chuck Norris.
I mean,
we can't even hold a candle to that.
Norris. He's the only man that can slam a revolving door.
Today's generation doesn't remember Chuck Norris and Delta Force. All they remember is Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, that's right. They do. All right, Colonel.
Hey, look. Here's the deal. One thing I was thinking about is I know you personally, and I know the man you are and the way you carry yourself, and that's real. That's not just an act you put on. And when you were talking about some of the stuff that you had to do, I remember some of the situations that we've been in, and I thinking to myself, when somebody asked me for the first time, because when you're out there, you're in that mindset. But it's like, hey, look, man, I'm not sorry I'm doing this to you. I'm sorry I had to do it. That's the way it had to, this has to go down, right? So that's the mentality. Like, I don't have the option to.
It's not history's choice.
Right.
It's a
do
necessity.
This any other way. I mean, obviously, if you and I are in this situation right now, that we're all the way to the bottom. We're at the baseline, because that's what the men in the military are. We're the bottom line, right? All the lines that are drawn, and people are like, you cross this line, we're going to draw another line, that kind of deal. But once you get all the way down to the bottom, then you're going to have to deal with us.
Thank God.
Right? I mean, that's it. That's nothing special about us. We're just the bottom of the line. And when you get down in that world, it's fighting time.
And we got to hold the line.
Right.
That's the key. So, Colonel, the question I got for you in terms of you've gone from holding the line on the battlefield, right? You've gone from holding the line growing up in the inner cities, holding the line of the influence of your parents, holding the line, and now you're in holding the line in the political arena. You can't do it by yourself. And in the SEAL teams, we realize that at, possibly the highest level. You realize at the highest level. So as you are holding the line, so to speak, for what makes America great, how do you know who to surround yourself with? How do you know who's going to be the teammates that are going to stand by you and help you defend that line? How do you choose those people in your life, sir?
Well, first of all, I know that the Lord of hosts is with me.
Amen.
God before you, who can be against you? And, it says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But
Amen.
The most important thing is to find brothers and sisters like you guys, that will, once again, as it says in Ephesians chapter 6, I think 10 through 18, put on that full armor. And we know what it's like. We never take our armor off. If we do,
Ever.
It's just to take a shower, but, we'll go put it right back on. And we lock our shields. And so I'm looking for people that, have that strength, have that courage, have that resolve to be able to put that shield up. And remember, in the Greek phalanx, when you put your shield up with your left arm, it wasn't to protect you.
No.
It was to protect your brother.
Yeah, brother.
Amen.
That was on the line with you. And so, that's why, guys like you all, that's the great thing. As a matter of fact, on our website today, alanbwest.com, I'm writing a little profile of one of your SEAL team brothers. His name is Drago Desernian.
Yeah, Drago.
Tell you stories about that dude all day long.
Legend.
And I think it's just an awesome story to tell, at a time when, everyone is debating about these refugees and, how they need to be brought in America, and everyone's talking about how they're entitled. When you read Drago's story,
Epic.
I mean, again, that's the story of an American.
Hey, that dude fought for this. I was over there with him in Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what that dude's capable of. If anybody earned a place over here, it's him. And the crazy part about it is, he looks like he should be swinging an axe somewhere else, right? He does, man.
He's awesome.
And when he was team guide up, it was intimidating. And then, because he speaks multiple languages, highly intelligent.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
I know. That's the crazy part about it, man.
He's a brilliant warrior. That's the best kind, right?
Right. But you covered it perfect, Colonel. It's one of those deals where all of my weaknesses are covered down by my friend's strength. That's why they're my friends. That's how I pick them. And when you get into the military, I tell people this too. I was like, I didn't work out and hone in every one of my skills that I had for myself. I did that for my boys. And I'll never forget when I married the boss, I told her, my sword and shield are yours. That's what that's the best. She had no idea what that meant at the time, but that was the best compliment I can give her, because I lived my whole life by that code.
Amen.
That's what we do in the military. And I think that's the hardest part about getting out. It's not what we went. It's not what we went through, man.
No.
It's the guys we went through it with. You separate us from that, and it's like, man.
Well, I think one of the things too that, to continue on the fight, right? And Marcus, you just made a good point. You learn all these amazing things. You get integrated into the culture of that warrior spirit, the culture of that camaraderie, really the fuel, the love that we share for one another. And then when you separate, it's that search for that love, right? The search for that power from each other. And, but a lot of guys don't have the power of Christ in their heart. They don't have that constant, perpetual love. So it's tough for them to find.
That's what controls the gap.
Right.
Is your belief in God, and you got to lean on something, because what happens is, especially when we're in wartime, is the boys are still working.
Yes,
it's nothing personal. I'm talking about Colonel on this one, man. It's like, hey, I want to hang out, or when you call them, they're like, I can't talk, and you were that guy. But and the whole concept, like, well, the SEAL teams can't live without me. Yeah. My last day, they took my ID. I couldn't get back in the cage, and I was like, okay, all right, man, let's go. And then it's one of them deals, because The hardest part is our friendships are forged in bad times.
Yeah. In the pain.
So those are real friendships.
And that's a real friendship.
Yeah, that's the brotherhood. I mean, you literally can call them family because you've either spilt or shed blood with them, right?
Absolutely. So, Colonel, I've got a question for you. What would be your advice for, those people out there, whether it's the men in blue or firefighters or first responders or vets that are struggling to find that camaraderie, that teamwork, or to find it in themselves to go create the new platoon? What should they do? What can ignite that fire in their belly to go kind of build that team again?
Well, and it's interesting you say that because this morning I went over and spoke at the roll call for the precinct that, covers our area where we live here in Dallas. And it's one of the toughest areas around. I just want to let them know that we appreciate them. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we reach out. We find those folks that we have that common bond with. And, it is not just about what we do when we're in uniform, when we're on duty or whatever, but it's the extension thereof. It's a bigger family. And I think that is something that we have to do. This brotherhood, this band of brothers, whatever you want to call it, the thin blue line, it extends beyond just what we do when we're wearing a uniform or whatever. It is part of our culture. It is part of our, makeup. And I think we have to be proud of that. I remember when the note came out from the Department of Defense, after ISIS had made these threats against, veterans and things of this nature, that maybe you should not have bumper stickers on. I'm like, this is a bunch of crap. Of course,
Come on.
Because if there's one thing that I love is that, when you're out on the highway and you see someone has a Marine bumper sticker, a SEAL bumper sticker, Army bumper, you toot your horn.
Yep.
You do the thumbs up, and see, that's what we have to continue to do, is that little small encouragement.
Yeah, if the car bomb does go off and there happens to be a truck parked there with a Marine sticker on it, you're like, run over to him. You know what I mean? Stand behind that dude. If ISIS gets it done and it starts happening or whatever, I mean, you kind of want to know who's who, right? I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole when you talk about phonies, people who impersonate being anything, man. It's not what they're trying to. What's the word I'm looking for?
Stolen valor.
Right, it's what's behind that.
Yeah.
It's not the badge, it's what's behind it.
Yeah.
And I mean, our police department, man, they come from our community. They enforce laws of the community rights, and they're one step more aggressive than the people they have to control. Right?
Absolutely.
They have to be. I mean, it does fall directly on the people, man. I mean, if we would not act like idiots sometimes, then we wouldn't need them.
We wouldn't need it, but you got to need it because there's evil in the world,
need them, man.
and it's always lurking.
And when they were talking about the chest cams, I know that my first reaction was like, why? Because we had them in the military. I was like, man, why would you want to do that? But look, no one thanks them, and that as a country, I think we kind of focus on the negative. That's one thing we don't do on this podcast, Colonel, is focus on any of the negative part of it, man. And the stuff that police officers do every day. I mean, they throw on a uniform to go deal with other people's crap. I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, you want to talk about who's not a racist? It's the police.
Oh,
because
hands down.
Most people don't like to deal with other people's crap at all. They just walk away. Whatever, everybody's that way. So someone who has to put on a badge and go deal with other people's crap every day, all day long, probably can get along with anybody.
Pretty much.
It has to be that way, right?
They're people.
I know. But that comes, and granted, this is a realistic podcast, right? I mean, you're going to find pockets of hate and discontent and racism everywhere. That's the way it is, man. I mean, it's ignorance, sure. But overall on its whole, man, I was watching the news this morning, man. We're talking about all these cops that have been shot and everything. I mean, you got sailors on their knees with their hands behind their back, and then our police department, our police officers are getting shot.
Under assault.
What's up? I mean, it's time
So I love the fact that you went in and you delivered that positive message, and I think what's really cool, Colonel West, is I love how you're always out there, and I'm a big follower. It was. When I first got to know your friend, our mutual friend Mark Yano down in Florida, and he was like, man, you gotta meet Colonel West. You guys would hit it off. You guys ought to ride motorcycles because I live right down in Boca Raton, and he was just like, man, you guys would be great. And I go, well, I'm a huge fan, and he goes, well, why? And I said, well, because he's always telling a positive message, right? Yeah, he's calling out negative people, which is the reality of life.
Well, he doesn't bitch about it. When you call somebody out, if you're giving them the way to fix the problem, it's different than someone just sitting on there bitching about the problem.
Totally. And one of the things I love about how you do it is you recognize that there are huge hurdles in life, right? There's always going to be pain, but you always got to put it in a way, in a context that say, hey, the pain is good, it sharpens your edge, and it prepares you for battle. So in your life right now, as as you're still in the fight, what are you focused on in the bigger picture? What is coming up in your future, that the fight you're going to get into, and what are you willing to endure?
Well, I mean, you're willing to endure whatever is necessary to restore this great nation to what our founding fathers intended it to be. When you have people that are clearly taking it down a different path, all you have to do is look down the road to Venezuela and see where it could end up, and we don't want to see that happen here.
I saw that.
I'm enjoying being, in Texas. I've been here since February of last year. I'm working at a conservative free market policy center, National Center for Policy Analysis, as their executive director, and the most important thing for me is to educate and inform the American people, to let them know that they don't have to listen to the trite little sound bites from politicians who all they want to do is capture their electoral patronage, because that's where they get their power from. The power is with each and every one of us as
Amen.
American citizens, and we need to exercise that, and we need to get these folks to realize that you work for us. You don't work for yourself. You don't work for these special interests. And I see so many of our countrymen suffering right now with the lack of economic growth, when we see the onerous means by which this government is instituting regulation after regulation. I mean, here we have this great nation with all the debt, all the deficits, what's going on in the energy sector, what's going on with Russia, China,
Absolutely.
Iran, North Korea, Islamic jihadism, and they're talking about bathrooms. I mean, for the life of me, I mean, I hate to tell you, people aren't sitting down at their table talking about, well, if Johnny thinks that he's Jane, well, he should be able to go to any bathroom he wants. I mean, I'm all for that. What do you think, dear? That is not what people are talking about.
No,
they're
not.
talking about better education opportunities. They're talking about feeling safe. They're talking about, if they're in the inner city, the rise of crime. But here we got a government talking about bathrooms and talking about fairness and fair share. Well, you know what? Life sucks. It ain't fair. If life were fair, I would have been a 6'5" black guy that could do a 360 slam dunk, but I couldn't.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm 5'9". I'm 216 pounds, but what beats in my heart is this country, and that's what we need. We need to restore American patriotism. That's what we have to do, and that's why I'll continue to fight, and I'll continue to, use this God-given platform that I have. I'll continue to try to do my best to encourage others to do the exact same thing, because the greatness of America is that we pass on a better country to our subsequent generations, and we can't be the first generation that passes on less. I know Marcus is not going to do that for his children. I know you're not going to do that for yours, and I sure as hell am not going to do that to my two daughters.
Well, I got a question for you then. And you talk about education. We believe that too. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why Marcus and I said, hey, what's the way that we can affect people's lives the best? And that's why we got these microphones stuffed in our face, and we're trying to spread this positive message of hey, man, you can learn the never quit mentality yourself by listening to people such as yourself, Colonel. What is in your mind? What do people need to do? The American people, what do they need to do to properly educate themselves on where the future needs to go?
We need to go back and read, what makes us who we are, our founding documents. I mean, you've seen those interviews, the man on the street, whatever you want to call it, Water's World, what have you. I mean, yeah, it's appalling. We don't teach civics. I mean, we spend more time, with people that are teaching how bad America is instead of how great America is. And if you don't know from whence you came, you will never know where you are, and you certainly won't understand where you need to go. So the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, we need to teach people that. We need to teach people about about rugged individualism. You know, I always tell folks that back, you know, in the day when this country was expanding, you know, moving out west, and they came up to these great rivers, being it the Tennessee, the Mississippi, the Ohio, whatever, no one stopped and said, who's going to come build us a bridge? Okay. They said, we're going to figure this sucker out, you know, and that's the greatness of who we are. And now we are becoming a society where we're sitting around. You know, one of the most cancerous things that happened in America was when some adults came up with this stupid idea that they thought would, you know, build up the self-esteem of kids, called the participation trophy. And so now,
hey, you know, the great part about that is all the head shrinkers are turning that around.
The participation trophy.
Right, all the psychiatrists. Right, I've been reading up on that too, and all the younger psychiatrists coming up are saying that was the worst idea that we ever.
A huge study just came out that said it was the worst idea ever.
And you know what I relate that to? The funniest thing is Colonel, both in our Rhett and our 18 Delta medics, and I kind of correlate a lot of that stuff with CPR. Because when you got in, it was it was three breaths,
ABC,
3 breaths, 5 compressions, and then it went to 15 compressions, and 2 breaths.
It was emergency paramedicine from the 80s,
and now it's just, hey man, just smash on his chest, and the arrow go in there,
pump hard, pump fast.
Right. I mean, it sometimes we're at the detriment to our own country. We implement this stuff before we test it, and it's kind of like participation trophy. What does that mean? Of course he's participating. That's why he's out here.
Come on. Hey, guys, come on. You know, this whole, you know, Trident thing, everybody should be able to get a Trident.
We're heading about on the internet.
Come on. What are y'all doing? You know, hey, you know, what do you mean? You know, a Ranger tab? Hey, come on.
They deserve it. It doesn't mean. Well, all right. So let me ask you a question then. All right. So we see this happening, and I've done a lot of research. I write kids' books too, and I've done a lot of research on child development, and I'm under the same thing as you. You know, about 1973 to 75, everything started switching, and you know, some huge litigation in 89, 90 that took power away of discipline in our school systems. Where are the positive lights out there, Colonel? Tell me where you see, because I know you travel this country, you're in front of audiences, you're connected in the most positive. Where are those positive lights that are having a great impact on the country?
Well, I think the positive light is in each and every one of us. You know, growing up down south, we used to sing this little song in Sunday school, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine." And I believe that if we can have individuals that go back and talk about individualism and talk about, you know, really that sovereignty that we have as American citizens instead of this collectivism, then we will see that light come together like, you know, it has before. So what I see that really does encourage me is that, especially young people, I'm seeing a lot of young people that I know that we see the folks that are always on the TV, you know, I want this, I want that. But, you know, behind the scenes, there are a lot of young people out there saying, you know, I want a better America. You know, I want the America that you guys had that enabled you to get to, you know, where you are. And I don't want you guys to cheat me out of this legacy that I should be inheriting. I don't feel entitled.
I want to earn it.
I want to earn it. And so it's just the same as you see the young men that are still coming in saying, I want to earn that Trident. You know, I know what people are saying. I want to earn that Ranger tab. You know, I know what, you know, politicians or whatever are saying, but I don't believe in that. I want tough standards. I want to be part of something that is elite. And you know, I wrote a piece recently about how the folks out there in the San Francisco Bay Area are, you know, cheering on the Golden State Warriors to, you know, be a repeat champion and everything like that. But yet you look at who the type of people they vote for. So why is it that we have people that they want a championship team for their city, but yet they don't want a championship country? And so I think that, you know, slowly but surely, we got to start questioning people's motives and their principles. But I see that light, you know, kind of being, you know, rekindled in people all across this country. You know, they're more, you know, God-loving, freedom-loving people in this country than folks would tend to believe. And I will tell you who especially understands it. Like I say, people like Drago, who came from countries where they didn't have freedom.
at all.
And they came here to these shores because they said, this is the last best hope for mankind, as Abraham Lincoln said.
Yep.
And when they see that opportunity slipping away, those are the ones that are standing up and fighting. You look at a lot of these Eastern Europeans that have come here. They're like, we're not giving this up, because we ran to get away from this mess. So the Venezuelans who ran away from that mess down there that we see unfolding. So there are people that are making the stand, and I'm heading out, like I say, to Colorado this weekend, and then over to the Panhandle in Destin, Florida. They're Americans that they know what they want.
Yes, they do.
And I think they know what they want.
You never hear them say. I mean, that's the thing, is most of them are busy working and earning and living and loving life. They don't,
grinding.
Right. That just kind of.
Well, one of the things,
they don't get paid to protest.
No,
Right.
no. And what they want is they want that positive hope to be real, right? They want that whole,
Of course.
And so what I love too is, and we're gonna, that's the last question for this segment, and don't worry, we're gonna get into the lessons you learn and how you go about your daily routine and those little things that make difference in the After Actions report here in a second. But the last question I really want to ask you is in your future and what's coming, and what, is there a place for you? Is there an opportunity where we might see you back in the political ring, right? Where we can get behind you, and I mean, is that in your idea? I mean, do you have any desire to go back to that? Because, man, I tell you what, Colonel West, to have a competent leader up in DC would really make a huge difference. Is that in your front sight at all?
God knows that. When I was asked to come here and be a part of this organization in October 2014, I would have never known. When, I made the decision that I did in Iraq, and, I thought that I was going to continue on and be out there as some of my peers, 1-star, 2-star general. God put me on a different path. So we don't know. But the most important thing is always to be willing and obedient.
Amen.
To be a servant of God and country. And I don't try to move the chess pieces in my life.
How long did it take you to learn that, though?
My dad, had a saying. He said, never read your own press and never drink your own tub water. Just stay humble. And that's been a guiding, principle for me. And so I don't try to, elevate myself or, position myself. If it's meant to be, it will happen.
Awesome. Well, sir, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to have you on. I mean, Marcus, you were spot on bringing the colonel on, and it's just such a privilege to hear your clarity, to hear your purpose, to hear you and to see your conviction every day. Because at a lower level, I understand the grind. You and Marcus are out there influencing so many millions of people, and for that, I'm grateful, sir. And I'm also grateful you coming on and expressing your faith and your commitment to this country. It's just such a privilege. So thank you, sir.
Well, no problem. No, and let me close by saying this when you talk about never quit. And I want your listeners to go to Romans chapter 5 and read verses 3-5. Because the whole thing about never quitting, this is how Paul wrapped it up. He said that, trials and tribulations produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And he's not talking about the hope in man, but he's talking about the hope in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I think that's the essence of never quitting, because when you quit, you will never develop perseverance. When you quit, your character will never grow. And when you quit, you will never have hope.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Amen.
Oh.
That's all I got. How about you, Marcus? All right. Tune in for the After Actions, because it's going to be a doozy. God bless you, Colonel. Take care.
God keep. Later, guys.
We're out. Marcus, when I hear a quote like that, and I listen to a man like that, it just makes me kind of put things in perspective in my own life about direction and purpose and that desire to want to be a better man and stand up for what I believe in. Does it do the same for you?
When you learn a lot of stuff is when you're sitting in the times when you're not paying attention to it. Meaning, like, I remember always learning the most when I was sitting on the porch with my granddad or my dad, and
Right.
Rocking back and forth. Granddad had the beer in his hand. Grandma was shelling peas. I could play it out in my head because I could hear it and I could smell. I had all that stuff going on. That's when you really remember the stuff.
Right.
You ever been around somebody when they start? This guy's not even in the. He's not even here.
I know.
I mean, when he rattled that off, I just kind of sat. I was shot back to that porch moment when someone's telling me something that
was powerful.
normally wouldn't be. Like, even if I'm barely listening to it, I mean, I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the best way I should say it. There's some things people say, whether you're listening or whether you hear it, it goes in. And just because of the way they said it, you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes it takes a person to say a certain phrase a certain way for that one to touch you, right? For that one to make
settle in your brain. I love it.
The voice, the way he said it. I mean, my godfather, I remember he could tell story. God, he's one of them guys, just listen to him talk for days.
Right.
Because he just had that big belly laugh and the way he looked like a Santa Claus rolling in a seat. And you could tell. And in my family, it's the lineages, we're all adventurers. So,
right.
I mean, so were my dad's crew. So, I mean, this one, he goes, I was the only, American to ever work in the stables for the Queen of England. I had to go down there and look out for a horse. You only need some old redneck to come down there. And show, he starts going off, man. He goes,
Right.
And I'll tell you what, and then the best part about it is when you got older and you ventured out on your own, you could call him and be like, hey, I'm jammed up in blah, 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 Texas, and I don't know where I'm at. And this is before GPSs and maps. And you could call my dad or any one of the men in my family, and they'd be like,
right there.
Hey, it's all right. I got you. By the way, there's a great steakhouse you ain't going to believe 2 miles the other direction. You passed it because you can't see it because that barn's there burned down.
Right.
And they know that because they've been there.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? And
a person who's been around, who's seen things.
Siri can tell you everything. All right.
But she ain't been anywhere.
Right, Alexa can tell me everything when I pull her up downstairs and sing me the songs and stuff like that, man. But was always one of them guys. I wanted to, if I couldn't be there, I wanted to hear the guy tell me in his words. In his words and what that felt like.
And that's what Alan did today. I mean, he really told us.
Hammered.
I mean, the story,
I went to that place. He believed that.
He does.
He's been around and experienced. Is my point. Where I was going with it.
Absolutely.
I got twisted on my family, but bottom line is that's powerful, man. When you have a man who's obviously that's instilled in him when he delivers that to you, man. That's him straight up telling you this works. This is how this goes.
Well, and that's I think the key to the interview that we just had with this great man is that this guy believes in the things he says. And it's been over the course of his life and how he was raised and where he grew up and his service in the time, his service in the country, the decisions he had to make in that service, that the inquiry he had to go through, his shift into politics, right? The way that the other party came after him and got him out of politics, his conviction in that, his conviction to uphold the Constitution. And most importantly, what I hear out of this man is his conviction to his faith. And that's the driving focus behind his ability to never quit, to stay in the fight.
Everybody, look at across the board. Everybody we have on here, there's a pattern, right?
It's a big pattern.
Yeah.
And hopefully the listeners are starting to hear the pattern.
How diverse is our
all walks of life.
Doesn't matter. All across. Yep. Everything, there's that short pattern, that short list pattern is right there.
Right. And that's what I think makes the show so amazing. And that's why I hope that the listeners today on this one, I hope you recognize that, yes, you are unique, you are different, but there's a commonality within the human condition that connects us all. And it's that intimate, deep desire, that burning need to achieve something in the face of adversity. And it's called the never quit attitude. But you need to work on it. You need to push yourself. You have to have strong convictions, desires, principles, purpose. You have to have a great crew around you. And you have to be willing, like Marcus says, in the moment, to be able to sit back and hear somebody telling you something powerful that stays with you forever.
Man, I'll back it up even more than that. I mean, I get the willingness and the friends and everything, and that comes some of the people around here, man, they ain't got all that. They're looking for a way to start before that. That's where I was always at because I was little bitty. And so, man, I would actually, everybody bags on me for how much that my cartoons and TV that I watch like that. But I get fired up by seeing something. If that's how I could see great people do great things, that's what I needed. And then on top of that, all I did was just get up and go try and do it.
And didn't quit.
That's it, man. That's all I ever had going for me. And no talent. I just showed up. And you know as well as I do, I was just so damn happy to be there doing something.
You
with
always had the smile on your face.
no matter
man.
how bad it sucked, man. I would just be like, all right, where else am I going to be? I don't got nothing going on. That's the problem. People just like, yeah, I could be doing, and I could be doing that too. You don't think when we're going through all that madness that
pain,
we're thinking back,
suffering.
that my brother, our boys, right? They're like, oh, my friends are probably out having a great time. Warm,
dry,
laughing. We're out here in the
suck,
dude. And I'll never forget when we first graduated from all that, man.
Right.
And they were like, hey, it's usually when you go home for the first time and someone talks about, what they did when you were in training.
Right.
And you're like, I'm glad you had a good time.
Mine sucked.
Let me tell you what I was doing. I was in a mud flats with my boys.
Getting crushed. Working on that never quit mentality. Well, listen.
Yeah, I guess that's how some of us have to learn.
Well, and I think that's what
Or be tested. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that. Or maybe I should.
No, you were.
Because you got to look
the
at it.
hard way, right?
Right. And I think that's important to you. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Are you getting crushed or are you being tested?
Yep. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? And don't think, hell,
and you can
that went both ways for me all the time. There'd be times I was out there, I was like, oh, yeah. That meaning, I'm good. But then when we started getting our nuts stepped on, I was like, oh, yeah. And that's when I reached out and look around for the boys.
For the boys, locked in arms.
Uh-oh.
And that's what Colonel West is talking about, man, because where we got to make sure that our listeners today, right now, here in this show, that you're going to be in situations where the choices are tough, they're hard, but if you make the right decision based on your faith,
all that, right? That's when it comes flowing in.
That's the state we're talking about. That is the never quit mindset.
Right. And once you develop that, man, you know when you're going against it. No matter, and the problem is times change so rapidly that once you've grown up, right, and taught yourself the moral basics of everything,
or
right?
been taught by the right teachers,
correct.
Yep.
And how do we test that? Life,
the hardship of life. Not easy.
So you get people jammed up in a society that has progressed or digressed around a situation that you've learned from multiple times. That's the beauty about being human and being an American, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Right now, that's bullshit. 10 years from now, it's going to be like, that's great.
Yeah.
And I love that about us, man. We're forever changing. And that's what I love about this show, man, is because we don't make opinion. All this stuff is rooted in experience, right? You got these people coming on, all the wasteful, all the other shows can harp on the negativity and he said this and she should do this. Well, this is the moral high ground and all this. That's not what we're doing here, man. We're just telling you how you got
the
kicked
real
in the
world.
Yeah, man. You
lessons.
got kicked in the face and pushing through that. And sometimes, man, you're going to make decisions that the other dude wouldn't. But guess what, man? The other dude wasn't there. You were.
Yep.
And if you start to think, man, and run your baseline on somebody else's, you don't have one.
No.
Man, you could fall forever, right?
Keep falling for the rest of your days. You eventually got to stand for something.
Yeah, I mean, mentally you could, and physically you fuck, man. But if you don't have your own baseline, which I don't know how that would be possible, but I guess some people have been broken down. Sure, if you go down, man, start watching some cartoons, and rebuild your body, rebuild yourself back up to when you remember when it was strong, right?
Right. Whatever's
got a hold of you and twisted your ass so much where you don't have one of those.
Reset.
You're trying to, yep. That's all I got. I'm rambling, dude.
No, you're not. Let me help you. Let me help you out, brother.
Pull me home.
Let me help you out. What Marcus is saying to you right now is there going to be times in your life where you get twisted, where you lose your way, you lose your direction in life. And what Colonel West and what's the story of Sam Adams is all telling you, what we're sharing with you right now, that you can get back on that path, that focus, that straight and narrow, if you just believe in what's right. You believe in the ideas and principles that made America great. You believe in the ideas and principles that made, Judeo-Christian beliefs great. You believe in those ideas that whatever your faith and you're strong in, the people around you, your team, that you believe in that, you're gonna persevere. You're gonna have hope. And I'll tell you what.
No way it can't happen. No way it can't happen unless it kills you. And then you're dead anyways.
And that's never quitting.
That's it.
So we're going to end this episode, and I'm totally thankful for everything that I've experienced in my life, all those people who taught me the beauty of what America represents from a constitutional standpoint to the fight that's been made to make America, to keep Old Glory in the sky. I want to thank all my teammates that I served with. I want to thank Marcus and the Wizard here for helping us bring this message to the world. I want to thank my family, my wife, my 2 beautiful kids, and I want to thank God especially. Because without God and without Christ in my heart, I would have lost that baseline many, many times. But today, because of that, I'm strong and I'm here and I'm going to stand up for what's right. Marcus?
Sure, brother. Thank God for giving me all my abilities. Thank my friends for helping me find them. Thank you for the boss for giving me everything, my kids, and this wonderful place that I call heaven, and having the ability to hang out with you and making a difference, because that's what it's at. That's what we like to say here, man. We're just ordinary people who've gotten in extraordinary situations, and we're connecting each and every one of us through those, right?
Amen.
Some form of way of saying that.
Amen.
All right, man, I'm out.
I'm out.